It's been over a month since Texas's law has been in effect, as some would describe, effectively banning abortion in the state of Texas. Right now, a similar law is being discussed in Georgia, and marches are happening. Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. So right now, there are marches happening because in Georgia, in response to the law that is being proposed, that is being discussed, and very well may become law, that is very similar to Texas's law. So let's talk about Texas's law. Since September 1st, Texas's law that says, once a heartbeat is detected, basically abortions are banned. But it's not just a straight up, once a heartbeat is detected, then the government can come in and arrest you. No, the penalties are civil, and the penalties are enforced and are brought by private citizens. That's a problem a lot of people have with that law. To be fair, people would have problems with the law even if it was, government coming in and stopping people. Of course, at that point, it would be a lot easier to challenge the law. The reason why it survived is because of the way it's constructed. The Texas abortion law allows an individual who suspects that somebody has aided and abetted in providing abortions to be held accountable, and for them to file a lawsuit against that person for a $10,000 amount plus legal fees. So they're saying that, the people on the left, like, this is an effective ban on abortion, and hey, they're cleverly crafting this law so that it can't be directly attacked. However, it is being attacked. One of the ways it's being attacked is by the Justice Department. Biden's Justice Department, Attorney General Merrick Garland has said, we're suing, and they have actually filed a lawsuit already. I'll be looking at that lawsuit because it's going to be very interesting to see the arguments they craft to attack it. And that's going to have relevance in other avenues. But the other way in which these laws are being attacked is that individuals have come forward, like one particular doctor has come forward and say, oh, I'm performing abortions, sue me. And pro-choice advocates have filed lawsuits against him, thereby potentially giving him standing to challenge these laws himself. Because that's one of the things you need to realize is you can't sue unless you have standing. And that may be one of the things that they're looking for, actually making sure that somebody has standing to go about and challenge the law. So now these individuals have sued this doctor who has provided and openly admitted to providing abortions, so that constitutional challenges can be brought against this law. Because one of the things the Texas government is saying in a case that's before a federal judge right now is that the federal government lacks standing. So if the federal government lacks standing, then it's going to be up to private citizens to sue and issue constitutional challenges against this law, and ultimately see what the courts decide. Like I said, there's a case now that is where the opportunity to issue a preliminary injunction exists, and it's going to be interesting to see what the courts say, whether this federal court issues a preliminary injunction against this law. If they do, it will no doubt be appealed, and we may see the Supreme Court weigh in on the preliminary injunction issue sooner rather than later. They may opt to not get into it until such time as an ultimate decision is made. We're not sure yet, but it's very interesting. So the key point that I'm seeing from all of this is that liberals are standing up and are like, this is ridiculous, this is absurd, this is a governmental overreach. My body, my choice. The government should not be interfering with people's bodily autonomy. You've got like I said, you've got marches that are happening right now, this weekend, that are fighting for, the right of a woman to choose. And hey, I'm cool with that. But there's something that I find really interesting about all of this. What I'm noticing, many of the same people that are arguing for a woman's right to choose are also arguing for the government to exercise and to take away people's ability and right to choose whether or not they accept the COVID-19 vaccine. So they've gone from my body, my choice to your body, my choice. Wow, that's kind of interesting. And I've said, wait a minute, let's keep it consistent. So, in fact, just this morning, somebody said, hey, well, in response to my opposition to vaccine mandates, well, you're this part of the same group that's trying to take away a woman's rights. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Stop with the binary thinking. Just because I'm against vaccine mandates does not mean I'm against or I'm in favor of anti-abortion mandates. I'm not them. That's somebody else. I speak for me. I'm like, the government shouldn't have a say either way, period. So when I say the government shouldn't be legislating what you do with your body, I actually mean it. And that's the type of consistency that I was hoping that would suddenly dawn on people in the midst of concurrent fights. So it was interesting that the week that this law was enforced, the week that this law went into effect, the week of September 1st, there were the liberals, people on the left were like, oh, this is crazy, government overreach, my body, my choice. And the very next week, those same people were, stop being selfish. They need a vaccine mandate. Like, no, when your choices affect other people, then it's no longer your choice. Your liberty doesn't extend to my body. You do know that thing growing in you is a human being? You do realize that, right? All of the mental gymnastics, the attempts to redefine what a human is, do not change that reality. Now, you may say, wait a minute. If you believe that a human life is growing, how can you support abortion? Why do you think it's not the government's right to make that decision? Because I believe that as the mother of the child, that is the person who has the most significant interest in making medical decisions on behalf of that child. That's what I believe. So, as an infant is incapable of making their own decisions, who makes the decisions for the infant? The parents do. And sometimes those decisions are not decisions that medical professionals like. Jehovah's Witnesses are a good case in point. Jehovah's Witnesses will say, no, we don't want blood transfusions. And they will make that decision for themselves and for their children. And guess what? That's their right. That's what I believe. I believe, as the parents, as the people most able to speak on behalf of those children, it is their right to make those decisions. So let's keep it consistent. And let's say that if the government does not have the right to interfere with what you do with your body, don't argue against restrictive abortion laws and for vaccine mandates. It makes no sense. I had hopes, but now I'm beyond hope of seeing logical consistency, intellectual consistency from the left or the right. Because this Texas abortion case, followed by happening, the rise of these anti-abortion laws, coupled with the rise of vaccine mandates, shows me that intellectual consistency is just not happening. Shows me that independent thought is not happening. We've got a bunch of idiots out there playing team sports. This is why I want to limit the government's power, because I see how many idiots are out there who are easily manipulated, easily controlled, easily swayed, who lack any sort of logical consistency, logical analysis, any type of critical thinking skills. But these are the people that are expected to make decisions on behalf of others? No, not for me. You see, I don't want people who are that reactionary to make decisions on my behalf. I don't trust people who are that reactionary to make decisions on my behalf. So if you've got the MSNBC crew talking about the march for women's rights, and in the very next breath, they're criticizing NBA players for standing up for bodily rights as it relates to COVID-19 vaccines, like, Are you even thinking about, are you thinking? Like, I don't even have to say thinking about. Are you even thinking? Are you even thinking? But that's why this fight won't be won in the court of public opinion, because so much of this public is just gone. So much of the public are just brainwashed idiots. And I mean, it's a fact. So much of the public have become brainwashed idiots who refuse to think for themselves. And listen, I understand how they got there. I understand how the public got there, because it's not something that happened overnight. It starts with having the government indoctrinating people from childhood for over 13 years. That's where it begins. The media is also part of the indoctrination process, and the public, the masses of America, have been sufficiently dumbed down that they are just so pliable and so easily manipulated, so effectively manipulated, that they are becoming a danger to individuals that actually think for themselves. Right now, the hope lies in the court system. I hope that can actually prove to be a fruitful fight, because that's when it's going to be decided. That's when it's going to be able to be shown that the consistency, that the laws that exist defending the right to have abortions also apply to the right to reject vaccines. It's your body, your choice. You see, because there is no articulable basis for saying that privacy extends to a woman getting an abortion, and then eliminating, saying that no privacy right exists for that same woman choosing not to put a vaccine into her body. There's no legitimate basis to separate those two privacy interests from one another. There's no legitimate reason to accept that privacy interest on behalf of an abortion and reject that privacy interest as it relates to vaccine mandates. It's going to take somebody going to court, somebody fighting this in court, and somebody establishing that, hey, either the government is going to respect our privacy, either the government is going to respect our bodily autonomy, either the government is going to accept that we as individuals own our own bodies, or it isn't. And for those of you that are supporting one and against the other, you got to look in the mirror if either of these things go south. Because if one of these dominoes falls, in other words, if one of these types of laws is upheld, the other one will be too. Thanks for checking out this episode. As always, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. If you agree with what I said, if you think that there's, that we need to wake up, stop playing this team sports nonsense, and actually think logically, think logically and consistently in order to say, hey, wait a minute, these things are kind of connected. Or if you believe that the abortion laws are restrictive and are a violation of our freedom, but vaccine mandates are okay, feel free to give me a thumbs down, but state why in the comment section you refuse to do any type of logical thought, any type of critical analysis, and why you are so wildly logically inconsistent. I'll see you next time.